Hey everyone. So, since everybody is working from home, right, and it's a different experience for everybody, I thought I'm going to try some new things. So, first of all, got a new microphone. Uh, this thing up here probably should be right here so I don't spit into the thing, but I already have a little spongy thing. So, I just thought that I put this up there and it just looks weird. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try the webcam a little bit. I'm going to try the new microphone and see how it goes. And so, I thought I'm going to try something new that I haven't actually tried before. And that is the idea of designing a bot flow where you have something called RPA Central actually saying, I need it to process a bunch of different jobs or a bunch of different data. And the idea is to kind of spread the wealth around a bunch of different bots to process the data really quickly. So I'm going to jump to another screen to show you guys what's actually really possible. So let's do that. Okay, so what you see here is RPA Central. Essentially, this is where you guys will create your jobs to actually run those bots, right? Actually execute those bot flow scripts that you guys have built. So I'm going to show you what my data looks like. So here is the data. I've got a CSV file that is essentially this is not necessarily the data that I want to process, but this is what's going to tell my bots what it needs to do. So in this case, I have a header that just has start job and end job, and each of these rows are just comma delimited that are pieces of data that are going to be sent to each bot to say, go and do something with this data. All right, so in this case, I'm going to give you the value of 1 and 100. The bot, or at least the bot flow, the script that you guys build, needs to understand what does that mean? What do I do with this 1 and 100? Now, it could be I want you to go and process the first 100 values in a spreadsheet, 100 rows in a spreadsheet. It could be I need you to go and query the first 100 values in a database and do something with that data. Right? It's really up to you as to what the the actual bot flow does. But what you're looking at here, this is just the data set that is going to be sent to these bots to tell it this is what this is what here's the data. This is what you need to do. Go and do something based on this data. Okay, so this is the data set. Let's minimize that. So of course, before you actually build anything, you need to add that data set. So on the left here, there's data sets. On the right, there's a create new button. And here you can click on browse to actually upload your CSV file. So here's my jobs to process. I'm going to click on create. Oops, give it a name. Please select the file. Oh, of course I didn't do that. Let me try that again. All right, create. And you can see there's a checkbox here that says has header row because I do have a header row. I'm going to check that box. And what that means is that I'll be able to refer to each of these values just based on the header name, start job and end job. So if I click on next, now you'll see I have a column name called start job and a column name named end job. Great. I'm not going to create this again because I already have it, and I'm going to delete this one because it's just half created. So I already have a data set called jobs to process VT. Okay, now that I've done that, what you're probably thinking is, okay, well now that I have the data set, I need to create a job that's going to execute based on this data. And that is where you go up here and you click on create job and you give it a name and you select your bot flow. I already have one and I'll show you how to build that in a moment. You select your data set, and then down the bottom here, it tells you all the bots that you have available to this RPA Central environment. So essentially what you're saying is, maybe I have 2 bots that are ready to execute bot flows, but I'm actually using those to process a whole bunch of data from some legacy SAP system that I have. I have another 5 bots that are kind of ready to go. I can use them whenever I want. So I might select those 5 in here and click on create. And so what that means is if I look back on my data set, RPA Central is going to say, bot number 1, go and run this bot flow. Here's some data for you. Bot number 2, start and here's some data for you. Bot number 3, etc. So it's going to run these. Oops, too many there. These 5 pieces of data from the data set at the same time, essentially. And then as they finish, it'll go and pass the next one and the next one and the next one, etc. So the idea is that this is essentially kind of multitasking, or at least multi-processing. So you're processing a bunch of data all at the same time. So it'll be a lot faster than the way it would be if it was just one bot or somebody doing it manually. Okay, so once you've done that, you'll have a job, and then you can execute that job. So let's go back to the actual jobs tab and see, what exactly do we need to do to kick off this particular bot or bot flows. All right, so here's my bot right there. I don't have a schedule for it. I'm actually going to manually start this. So let's click on manual start. Now you're not going to see what's happening because, first of all, it's actually happening on another screen, right? So it's actually happening on a screen I'm not sharing right now. But there's some stuff going on, and you can, in a moment, I'll let you know when it's finished. We'll actually go back to my folder and see what actually happened. And then next step will be is to what does the actual bot flow look like? How hard was it to build? What does that mean by getting data from RPA Central? All that sort of stuff. All right, so there my bot has finished. I have this log file right there. I'm going to click on this, and you can see here I ran this before, so I already had some data in there. This is the latest data. And you can see each bot ran the bot flow, and the bot flow wrote some stuff to the log file, which is working on, and then the start job number and the end job number. Now you can see this is sequential, right? It's in a sequential order, and the reason why is because I actually have RPA Central and my bot all both running on the same machine, so I only have one bot, right? If I had multiple VMs, which I'll probably do later down the track, I will then be able to see potentially this go out of sequence because my machine might be a lot busier than a VM, and the VM might do things faster, so I might end up getting a few of these out of sequence. Really just depends on what it is you guys are trying to do. Doesn't necessarily mean it's right or wrong. If I just want to process, for example, if this is telling me process the rows 1 to 100 in a spreadsheet, and process rows 101 to 200, I may not care that this is done out of order as long as all that data gets processed. Right? So it just really just comes down to exactly what are you guys trying to do. If you do have a need to do this sequentially, you're probably looking at one bot just going through one after the other, doing its thing. Okay, so let's have a look at what does the actual bot flow look like. All right, so here's our designer. Now, first thing I want to tell you is I have that write the file action or write to file action right here, and I'm going to click on that, and you can see there's that text working on ... and then I have this start job token, end job token. How do I know those are the actual values, right? Although at least the titles of those tokens. What you can do is you can go up here and click on data, click on open, and let's go to our folder. Import your CSV file, click on next, and check this box, and you'll see the headers are there, the values are there, etc. So the really cool thing is that once you've done this, let's go back into here and go open data. This is what it's going to look like. You'll see these little tokens there: start job, end job. So all those titles from all the fields in your CSV file will appear in here. This is just temporary, so when you open up your bot flow later on, this will not be there. The idea is that you can reopen, re-add the file into here if you got new data, if you have new column names, etc. So you can see it was really easy. Once you've done that, click on this button, click on the expression builder button, and you'll see under data those column names. What I will warn you about though is do not use these three tokens in your bot flow, and that is because if you were to manually run this, these will have some data. If you run this through RPA Central does not send this data because there's not really any value in sending that down to each of the bots. So just don't use those in your actual bot flow. Okay, pretty straightforward. Once you've done that, click, if I made a change here, the save button would be enabled. Click on that to save it. Go back into RPA Central. You'll actually see under bot flows, this one here, it will actually be down the bottom. It'll be in draft mode because you've saved it. And all you need to do is click on this, click on publish, and that will publish it. And then easy enough, you can go back to your dashboard, find your job, click on the ... manually start it, and it'll go and process that particular bot flow. So really exciting way. Now, I know the scenario here was a little limited, but really think about what you guys have in regards to a lot of data that needs to be processed. And this is a really nice way to say, I'm just going to break this up and I'm going to send that data to each of these different bots that I might, really up to you how many bots you have, but you might decide I'm going to have one VM, you might have 10 VMs, all of a sudden this data gets processed and churned through really quickly. Remember, at the end of the day, whatever system you might be talking to, you are going to be limited by the speed of that system. So just because you create 10 bots to process 10 pieces of data doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a ton faster than just having one bot. It really does have a bunch of different factors that come into play. So just wanted you guys to be aware. Okay, with that, let's go back to the webcam. All right, cool. So with that, this is a really exciting piece of functionality. I've been really experienced and lucky enough to work with a bunch of workflow functionality in the past. I'm getting more and more into the RPA side of things, which just adds another layer of automation for you guys. There's the workflow side where you can automate things in SharePoint, you can automate things in Salesforce, external systems, etc. But there's always been that kind of legacy systems that have been running in the on-prem environment that don't necessarily have APIs that you really need to kind of interact through a user interface where you have your bot actually clicking and dragging and typing text and things like that for you. So you record a bunch of that, you build out your script, and then let the bot do the work. It's really exciting. There's really almost endless amount of opportunity for you guys to automate a whole bunch of different things that you probably didn't think you could do before. My biggest one that I'm actually playing around with now is recording some of the button clicks that I do on a very regular basis, where I just want to say, okay, just run the bot and go and do this for me. For example, I've been doing a lot of building reports in Salesforce, being able to click on the export details, select the CSV, export it, put it over here, give it a particular name, all this sort of stuff, and then going back, changing the calendar dates, doing the same thing over and over again. I just built a bot for me to do that, and it does it in no time compared to me just sitting there constantly clicking and doing it manually. So there's a lot of opportunity out there if you find this anything that you guys are doing from a manual standpoint that is just very repetitive that you think this will really help you with. It's definitely worth kind of playing around with this and seeing what's possible. But if you have any questions, definitely reach out to me. I'm more than happy to kind of point you in the right direction. All right, with that, I will let you go. Be safe. Thanks for taking the time to watch this.